Hey, this is Frank Yosa, CEO of KetoneAid, and we're really excited to have Jeremy Martin with us today, talking about his experience using it in motorcycle racing. We also have Steve Zarpas, co-founder of KetoneAid. So, Jeremy, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for letting me try the product and do a video about it, promoting it.
Yeah. So, the backstory of how this happened was I got a call from your brother who had been following Ben Greenfield, and he said that he had a crash, so he was out for the season. And then he started talking and mentioned his brother was still in the game. And I said, hey, it's Monday. His last race is Saturday. And he's like, oh, well, he's far away. I'm like, nothing FedEx can't solve. So we FedExed you a bottle for your practice, because I don't believe in taking it on game day, because everyone might react to it differently. And you took it at practice. Let's take it from there. How did it taste? What were your expectations? Your brother had taken a deeper dive than you had, so you kind of were just doing it because he told you to.
Yeah. So I mean, Alex just randomly calls me out of the blue and he's like, hey, I gave your number to Frank, and he's gonna call you and he's gonna contact you about trying this product. Would you be interested in it? I said, yeah, let's go for it. So it ended up being your guys' KetoneAid, and yeah, you guys overnighted me a box, and I tried it, and I was pretty nervous, I'm not gonna lie, and I ended up sending you a video of it, of me taking it and like chasing it down with some sparkling water. And
yeah, maybe we'll add that. I'll see if I can insert that here.
Yeah, you have to put that in the video for sure. So I think the biggest thing, I was really expecting the taste to be really gross, and then like it was bigger. The bottle was bigger, and there was more. It was more than I thought it was going to be. Like when you said it was a shot, like I thought of like a little bit smaller of a shot, but it's pretty big,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought it was going to taste worse. So like I was really prepared for it just to be bloody awful. But it ended up being a little better than I thought. And
you're ready.
All right, guys, here's the ketone, and here's the chaser.
I don't know if I would. I'd maybe have your chaser ready.
Yeah, we got Smells like kind of alright. I tasted worse. That was a whole thing in one.
What a trooper.
That's a lot.
What is it?
I don't know. It's not bad. I can't.
Immediately right away, I noticed like I just felt like I had this mental clarity that like I haven't had it since I was like almost like a kid almost. Like I felt like I could almost see better, if that makes sense.
Right. You said something about blurry vision that you were seeing in HD, right?
Yeah, and I just felt like, yeah, like exactly. Like I felt like I have like pretty good eyes. Like I'm like 20/20, and then like 20/25 in my right eye, which I guess pretty good, I think. And then I took that and I was like, wow, like I felt like I got like a 5% gain or something, and I was like, this is crazy. And then
like an Air Force pilot vision.
Yeah, exactly. And then I felt like I was just so easily like in the zone. Like I have like this corner track. It's probably about 45 to 50 seconds long, and I did a 40-minute moto on it, which is a long time. You're doing a lot of laps on a track that's that short. So I probably did like 40 or 45 laps. I'm thinking it was quite a bit. And I was like, it felt like I'd only rode for 20 minutes because I was just so like in the zone, and I was so focused on what was going on in front of me. And like I've rode since I was 4 years old, and I've been a professional now for 5 years. So sometimes during the week, when you're practicing and trying to get better, the mind can get sidetracked and distracted.
Right.
And I felt like sometimes I have to reel myself back in, and I felt like it was so easy. Like I never was out of focus. Like I was involved in the moment, in the process of hitting my marks and hitting my lines. So not to mention the fact that I did my whole program the whole day, which was a big workload, and I wasn't hungry. I didn't take any electrolytes, and it was like, man, this is just I felt like there's something wrong. Like I kept wanting to go and get food.
Right.
I kept wanting to like have an electrolyte, but I'm like, I don't need it. I'm not hungry.
Well, the electrolyte would have been fine if it was a no carb electrolyte. So no problem getting a carb free electrolyte.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just blown away. And then, you know, I talked to my brother about it, you know, obviously too. And he was so excited because my brother's kind of like, he's a bit more of a geek when it comes to trying this stuff, like trying new products and like stuff like this, where I'm more like, I kind of let him be the guinea pig and find it. And,
right.
And I kind of take what I think works and what doesn't. So it was really, really neat experience.
Well, awesome. So then, you know, I said, hey, do you feel comfortable enough, you know, using this game day? And you said, yeah. So I sent you out another FedEx. And, you know, was that the same? How's it different when you're adding adrenaline to it? You have a shorter motos. How did that compare?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the next time, like you said, I took it, you shipped me one for game day, which was Saturday. So I ended up following the protocol exactly like what you said. I took the 2 goo gels.
Yeah.
And I took that. What did we do? It was 30 minutes before. So I took that, and then I waited 20 minutes.
Yep.
And then that's when I took the KetoneAid.
Yep.
And then from that point on, I mean, I was like, immediately, as soon as I took the ketone, I was like, wow. I had 10 minutes just to kind of chill, and then I went up to the line because they rang the horn, which is like our first call, saying that, hey, you guys need to come on up to staging and get ready to drop for the gate, you know?
Right.
And I remember just going up, and my eyes, like, I just felt like I was like, dude, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to go. Like,
how does it compare to caffeine? People think of sharpness and, you know, higher energy. They think caffeine, and then they think jitters. How does it compare?
This was like the ultimate buzz, you know? It really was. Like, I took the gels and I was like, boom. And then when I took the ketone, I was like, wow. Like, this is a whole nother level. And I had so much energy, but I wasn't jittery, you know? Sometimes when you take too much caffeine, you're definitely jittery, or like you feel like, okay, you're like, man, I feel amazing. And then you kind of come down. And with this, I was level the whole day. Like I never felt like I had that crash, you know?
Talk about the time from the 30-second board to the gate drops. Like how you normally get ready for that, and what the difference was.
I'd just say sometimes, you know, like when the 30-second board drops, like whether I have too much caffeine, I definitely get pretty like nervous and kind of like I'm more jittery, I guess you could say. I mean, because my average heart rate on the line is probably 130 to 140. Whoa. And I'm just sitting on my dirt bike, you know? Like that's pretty impressive, and that just shows you how kind of nervous I was, you know? And I was just so like in the zone, and I felt like I was in a relaxed kind of state, I guess you could say. Like it was just easier. And when the gate dropped, I mean, I had the whole shot.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. And how often, you know, you do 10 races a season, how often do you get the whole shot?
I mean, I definitely, I was getting I mean, that day I was definitely on point. Yeah. Like, I mean, sometimes it's really hard when you're racing the best guys in the world to get the start every time, you know? So, but that day I noticed I was definitely exceptional out of the gate, and even just in riding and being in the zone and focusing on what I needed, what I could control on that day, you know?
Awesome. So then how did the rest of it go?
So I pulled the whole shot in the first moto, and I was feeling good. And, I sometimes struggle to open up the first couple laps, and I felt like I actually had a fellow guy that you guys have worked with, Adam Cincerillo.
Yeah,
was on me, and he had one or two better lines, and he was able to get alongside me. But I'd say it was probably the best I've opened up in the beginning of a moto and been able to be aggressive, you know?
Yeah, higher confidence. It's funny, there's a lot of neurological reasons why that happens, but when your brain is optimized to burn ketones and you're finally giving your brain pure ketones, it's like the difference between regular pump gas and race gas. And the difference becomes apparent.
Yeah. No, it was definitely, I could feel a difference, and I was feeling good. And then unfortunately it was kind of a racing incident. He got alongside me and he went out wide in this turn, and then you did a jump, and I went inside and I drifted out, and our lines came together and I ended up going down. But yeah, I felt all day like I just felt really good. Like the second moto, I got another good start, and I was riding well, the best I probably would have rode in those type of conditions all year.
So one thing we would do differently, I think you said you ate a bagel in between the motos because you were kind of scared, like, you know, I'm used to eating food, and I think next time I would skip that.
Yeah, no, I would have. I didn't need to eat anything, like,
Right.
and but you said I was scared. I was like, man, like I've never in my life since I've been professional have I ever after Moto 1 not had any food.
Right.
Not even just like whatever, just something simple like a bagel of peanut butter or something, just like to get. So I definitely got a little nervous, but I didn't need it, you know.
Right. Yeah, because it's a delicate balance. The ketones and the glucose and the carbs, they're kind of competing with each other. And if you add a bagel into the equation, it can kind of mess up the dynamics. It doesn't make it go to zero, but the effectiveness is a little bit more limited.
Oh, for sure. And you know, the crazy thing is like on race day is the hardest that you push, like for anyone, for any athlete, whether it's cycling, running, whatever, you know, weightlifting, whatever athletes do. So we always push the boundaries on race day the hardest, and then it's just natural due to having other athletes, and you guys always push the envelope, and you want to win, you know, and I want to win. But I remember at the end of the day, normally I'm pretty hungry. Like I've had a long day, I'm ready to eat, and I remember I finished the day and I'm like, I'm not hungry.
Right on, right on.
What on?
What about the post race recovery after the first moto, as far as your quads and your arm pump? Did you notice any difference? How you felt after?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like normally I pump up always the first moto. Like I've kind of struggled with bike setup this year, and yeah, I didn't have any arm pump or anything, and I felt like it was
You had
easy.
no arm pump? Hold on. You said you had no arm pump where you normally would have some in the
Like
last
the
5-10
arms got
minutes?
a little. Sometimes they definitely get pretty tight in Moto 1 to where like I have to like slow down. But I felt like this kind of took the edge off of that, you know.
Okay.
And I was kind of able to push through it and to be able to go the speed I wanted to in the beginning of the moto.
And again, there's evidence. So the ketones can cut your lactic acid buildup by 50%, or your lactic acid production, which is what makes your arms burn when they're pumped up. So if we're cutting that lactic acid, your arms feel fresh, and you, like you said, you can push it harder than you normally would.
Yeah, no, and I felt it. I felt it too. Like normally at a certain point in the moto, like I'm like, man, I'm hurting pretty good, and like I could feel the suffering, you know, and I'm like, well, now it's a mental battle, right? Like it's about being able to push through that suffer. And I was like, this was the first time all year I was like, it was just a pain, you know what I mean? Like, and it was easier for me to suffer through. I will say that I felt like the KetoneAid helped in that department for sure.
Awesome. So to conclude, how would you how would you categorize this? Real deal, placebo? How will it change? How will it change the game?
I mean, I think that this is a massive gain in professional sports. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm a geek. I like to cycle quite a bit. And I would just say that you're probably looking at some of the best cycling teams like Team Sky and some of the top athletes, and those guys have got to be doing it. And I noticed the difference. And I mean, I'm a motorsport athlete. So where cycling, it's all about the body basically, right?
Yeah.
And the gain there has just got to be massive. So if I notice a difference riding my motorcycle with, being more in the zone, and I notice a difference in my eyes and being able to push through suffering, because our heart rates my average heart rate is usually 180 to 185 for a 35-minute moto in the outdoor nationals. And I'll max out at right around 200 to 202. So that's pretty
Wow, yeah.
crazy, and I was able to do that in the first moto. I maxed out at 200, and then I think my average was 180 or 185. And then I was like, man, I'm ready to go for the second moto.
Yes.
And it was like normally going up to the line for Moto 2, I can feel my legs feel a little heavy, and there's not as much power, or they're feeling a little sluggish, And I walked up to the line and I'm like, wow, I'm ready to go.
Well, perfect. Thank you very much.
So
Have a good day. Thanks. That was an excellent review.